Hey guys, what's growing? It's Heather at Bush Poppy Farm. Today I'm going to be planting in the high tunnel some asters and dianthus seedlings and setting up some mouse traps. So it's Monday and I have a very brief window, a few hours today before a major atmospheric river comes through. This one's going to be worse than the last one, unfortunately. So I sprinkled that Repels All last time I was here 2 days ago, and it looks like there hasn't been any further damage, which is good. But I am going to set a whole bunch of mouse traps. This is only a 12 by 20 greenhouse, but I'm going to set 4 up in here. The mice aren't bothering my crops in the high tunnel or out here. And I know they're everywhere, but I'm not gonna worry about that right now. And besides, if you set mouse traps up out in the open like that, you can actually capture birds, and I don't wanna do that. So this is hard for me because I don't like killing things, but you know, you have to draw a line somewhere, and my line is a financial one. So I've been told that peanut butter is the best lure, so I'm going to set up peanut butter on these. I'll put 2 down on the ground. I'll put 1 up here on this table and 1 over there by all the other stuff that I store, because I notice they go dig through that stuff to try to find nesting material. So yeah, sucks that I have to do that, but I can't afford to keep losing seedlings. So after I get these traps set, I'm going to take some trays of seedlings out into the high tunnel. I have a whole bunch of asters here that are going to go in. This is Aster Bonita, Aster Daylight, Aster Tower Yellow, and Aster Matsuma Apricot. Those are going to go out. So one of the things I discovered, the soil report came back and things look really good everywhere. So down in the high tunnel, I don't really need to make any adjustments. Up in the upper field, the only adjustment I need to make is to add a little bit of calcium, not tremendous amounts, but the pH is better, has improved. So we started out with an 8.2 pH, and we are down to a 7.1, and that is a big improvement. But we are low on calcium, which is interesting because there's a lot of calcium in the water here because it's hard water, but that's fine. So what I'm gonna do is I need to add calcium to the upper field. Now, normally people would say add lime. That's how you bring up your calcium levels. But lime also increases the pH. I don't wanna increase the pH. I wanna keep it where it's at or lower it. So I need to add gypsum. And I went this morning to my local garden center and they didn't have any, so I need to find a place where I can get gypsum. Gypsum will makes available calcium to the plants very quickly, and it doesn't do anything to the pH. So that is gonna be what I'm searching for. This massive storm that's coming in this afternoon, or late this afternoon, early evening, overnight, and then it should start to leave the area by tomorrow afternoon. Wednesday will be unsettled, but Wednesday, Thursday is probably going to be our 2 dry days, and then we get more Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So I'm going to, on Wednesday, come out here, uncover the upper field, take the silage tarp off. I'll probably silage tarp this other whole area back here behind these 2 beds in order to kill off a bunch of the weeds and stuff. And that'll stay there for months because it's going to take that long. But then what I want to do is add the gypsum and add a layer, just 1 inch of compost over the top of each bed, and then they'll be ready to plant. Well, I need to replace the irrigation first, but then they'll be ready to plant. So I'm hoping that I can do all of that in those 2 days and get everything planted that needs to go up there. And then what I need to do is cover those beds with hoop and row cover, because we're gonna keep getting lots of rain. And it's not so much rain that's the problem, it's the heavy rains. They just flatten the plants. I've showed you guys before. It does a number on it, and especially if it's a brand new seedling, they don't usually recover from that because a lot of times their stems snap. So I'll need to cover those beds, but at least I can start getting things planted. And so that means once I get those beds completely prepared, whenever I have a dry day or two, I can come out here and pop as much stuff in the ground as possible. So the other tray of things I'm planting out here today. So this is all dianthus, also known as carnation. I'm not usually a big fan, but these are fancies. So I have Chabot Orange Sherbet, Marie Chabot, Chabot Jean Dionys, Chabot Benigna, Chabot La France, and Chabot Picotis double mix. So those are all the dianthus that are going in out there as well. And then over here I have marigolds, the cocoa mix. That is my plan for this morning. I have an hour and 45 minutes to do it in before I need to go pick up Dylan. So I'm gonna get started by getting these mouse traps set, and then we'll go out and plant. Well, that feels like progress. So I've got all the dianthus planted here. They're looking pretty good. I need to water them in. Yes, they're on drip, but when you first put the seedlings in the ground, you really need to give them a whole lot of water. And because we're in a high tunnel, it doesn't get any rain in here. So I am going to drag the hose over and water them all in. These are asters here. And then over here is some statice that I planted that thankfully is starting to come up. So I'll have a little patch of statice here. Then this is one more bit of aster that couldn't fit, Orlea and Ami. So these guys will all be in here probably through June into July. These guys might be here the entire season. I just don't know because I haven't grown them before. However, obviously the ranunculus in this row and that entire row of ranunculus will all be done probably the end of May, at which time they'll all come out. and I will put summer crops in. And the same goes for the tulip beds. Those will all come out as they are done, and there'll be space for new stuff. I actually have a map of what I'm going to put where, and I need to stick to that instead of thinking to myself, oh, I've got open space, let me pop some stuff in here. I mean, I actually do have a plan, so I need to be sure to follow that. This area was direct sown, and it actually is starting to come up. I have some poppies in here, different kinds of poppies, and bells of Ireland. So we'll see how those go. This is the black parrot tulip. Very close. Parrot tulips you want to get a little bit more open before you harvest compared to just regular single tulips. But then we've got the next coming is blushing appledorn and Valdivia. And then down here we've got snow crystal, which of course I've already been harvesting on but are super short, I think. And the same thing goes with these guys. Look, these are more snow crystal here. And then we have Queen of the Night that are just starting to come up. And then Pink Star and Dordogne. Oh, and Accabono. I think that next year I will not plant tulips in the high tunnel. I think I'm going to do the no-till method and use a bed in the upper field. I think that it just was a little too warm in here for them, honestly. A lot of these bulbs were pre-chilled, which means they got the chill hours that they needed in order to bloom and be tall, but some of them weren't. And when they're so super short like this, you just can't use them for anything, so it's a waste of money. So, however, if you look at the ranunculus stems, these are all mighty tall. This is excellent. The ranunculus do love it in high tunnels. So that will continue to happen. Also, there is no danger of growing ranunculus in the same spot every year, but I probably still will rotate. Like next year I'll put ranunculus in this bed and maybe that far bed, and these two middle ones will be for other stuff. Winter, fall planted stuff for spring. So I am going to make a note to do tulips in the upper bed next year because they didn't get tall. The daffodils in the birdies beds are looking beautiful. Very, very pretty. But it's hard because everywhere I look, all I see is weeding to be done. Like all of this is poison hemlock. That all needs to come out. It's hard to weed in here too. This is horrific thistles that literally are like hypodermic needles. Doesn't matter what type of glove I wear, so I have to use a shovel to get those out. So lots and lots of work. Cleanup to do, just a whole bunch of work. And very little window in order to do it. These yellow daffodils, so pretty in this bed. Look at these guys. There's a little moth in that one. And then also in this bed, well, some horrible thistle that I'm going to need to get up, but we have some grasses. But then the rest of this is wildflowers. We've got lots of California poppy, just a whole bunch of cool stuff. So I'm looking forward to seeing this take off, but I definitely need to get in here and take out all of those weeds. And then the sweet peas are going to go on that back fence line, but of course I need to get to that point. Yeah, time. So I wanted to start weeding today. I actually still have some time before I need to go. I wanted to start weeding this today, but I don't have any tools out here. Thankfully, I brought them all home, hand tools, to oil and get the rust off and get them ready for the season, because they probably would have been stolen. Multiple times today already I've been irritated because I've come in here to get, you know, plant tags or my plant markers, or a pair of gloves. All of that stuff was in my toolbox and is now gone. So yeah, still really irritated about that. Okay, so because that is all I can do for today out here because I don't have my tools, I'm actually going to water those seedlings in. I've double checked on everything in here. It's still looking good. Yeah, water all those seedlings in, and then I think I'm gonna head home, or I don't know what time it is. Yeah, not yet time to get the kids. So I'm gonna head home and try to get some work done before it starts. It's actually already starting to rain, before it starts really coming down. This weather is so crazy. It's like a different day here. So I'm home now. The sun is mostly out. It is much warmer here. I am going to take advantage of the 30 minutes that I have before I need to get the kids to start weeding, spring cleaning this bed. And it's huge, so it's not like I'm going to make a huge amount of progress, but I want to get started. Okay, not amazing, but definitely better. So I did get rid of some of the leaf litter, and you'll see in another bed the same thing. The reason is that too many leaves, like under here, it's no big deal because there's nothing really growing under there. It's just tree roots from this Japanese maple. But if you have too many fallen leaves and they're not in tiny pieces, then they form a mat, just like that. And the water just sheets off of them, and so what's under them either is dried out or rots, and not in a nice way. So I did pull out as many big mats of leaves as I could, and it fluffed up everything else. I gave this thyme a big trim. It's hard to tell, but I did. There's lots of, it still looks like a mess because there's lots of needles from the redwood trees that are right above us here. But those are fine because they will decompose pretty quickly and they'll add to the soil. I trimmed up all of the lavender, got rid of all of the flower stems from last year. I gave the thyme along the edge here a big trim. That will encourage it to start blooming again. And the other reason I wanted to get rid of a lot of the leaves is that I've got lots of small plants planted along here to spill over the edge, and if they're covered completely with leaves, then they can't get any sun and they won't grow. I gave the decorative grasses a big haircut. That patch of green right there, that started out as a single monkey flower plant, and last year was its second year, and it just exploded because it self-seeds really easily. So now it's a huge patch. So I cut off all of the old stems from last year, and that will put up a whole bunch of new stems. I did not prune these 3 silver sheen pittosporum because I use them as foliage for flower arrangements, so I want to take those off. I'm going to keep using them. The in between there is red twig dogwood, and those are starting to leaf out, so that's nice. There's some hellebores I found in here that were hiding under the grass before it got a haircut. So yeah, this is done for now. We're not going to be adding any mulch, obviously, because it's natural mulch from the redwood tree above. But yeah, for now, this is it. And lots and lots and lots of daffodils blooming, which is awesome. I just wish that the timing was better and I could actually be harvesting these right now for customers. But it is what it is. There will still be plenty for my customers when I start harvesting next week. For deliveries are starting next week, but these are so pretty. This yellow one over here, that one's actually starting to fade a bit. But so you can still see lots of bent overheads. This one's about to bloom. So these are all like the stages that I'll harvest them in, and the customers will have nice long vase life. So still plenty of those. I trimmed back that euphorbia up there, got rid of some of the dead stems. I see that I missed one. So those will start to, they're already moving towards flowering stage. Those are really pretty. Okay, so this bed always intended to look a little wild because it is a forest bed. It's underneath these trees, but I wanted to make sure that plants like this had a chance, and there's more creeping thyme, to keep growing and covering this whole area as a big ground cover over time. Here's another one of these yellow ones. So pretty. I do not remember the names. These were planted 2 years ago. The other bed I worked on is right here. This bed, just like the one back there, was deeply matted with leaves. Lots and lots and lots of leaves, probably 3 inches of leaves. And I pulled out a lot of them because, you know, like I said, they were causing things to rot. So I have some plants in here that were just rotted out. Like there's a euphorbia right there that I cut all the way back. I don't know that it's going to come back. This one over here is really pretty and really cool, but doesn't really have upright stems enough for me to harvest for flowers. This one is like the other ones on the hill over there, so I pulled all the leaves out of the center of it because you don't want the rotting to happen there. This, you hear that? That's the Rivian. I don't know why it does that. It's been sitting here charging. It makes this weird noise. It's really strange. Anyway, I also pulled out leaves from these to give them some space and air at their crowns. And all this back here is that horrible Nandina, so I try to keep it out of this bed, and that's about the most I can do. It is so invasive. And then here you can see the beautiful blooming manzanita, and I'm not doing any pruning to this guy. Actually, we never do. We just let it go. This is a California native, and it's a favorite of bees. Might take some of these leaves out of here, but other than that, I think the wind that we're going to get will do that for me. And the final thing I want to show you is the fence posts that we set up. We got them leveled and supported temporarily while we poured in the concrete. This will dry at some point. I mean, it might be somewhat dry now. Let's see. Yep. Mostly dry. There's still some stuff on the surface. I mean, I'm not going to take these off because the wind that we're going to get, 50 to 70 mile an hour winds, I'd rather let these support posts stay in place. But next steps here, and we've already got the gate partially built back there. The next steps here are to put the bottom bracket on and the top bracket across, and then we can attach the hardware, the welded wire, then the hardware cloth, and then the gate, and we'll be done. I'm actually thinking of leaving these posts at their height instead of cutting, because even though the fence will probably only come to here, because I can use the tops of these two fence posts to support the netting. So it'll be a slant down to the back of the coop and run, but it will be tall up here in the front, and I think that's what I'm going to do. Also, the netting I'm going to use is this netting that's over here, currently trying to protect the peas that have germinated. Yay! Okay, so these are all new guys in here, and there's still more that are going to come up because I don't see the ones that I've already gotten up, but these are the ones that were starting to get eaten by birds, and now they're looking much better. So this is a super heavy-duty bird netting, and when it's stretched tight, you can almost bounce a penny off of it. So this is probably the perfect size, actually, for that run area. And so I'm going to string that up, and at least for the first year, while these fruit trees are getting bigger and establishing, I'm going to keep the area netted so that we don't have to worry about hawks and owls. So that way they'll be protected from predators that can climb in from underneath, and predators that can fly in from the top. Okay, the rain is coming in, it's starting to sprinkle, and I need to go eat lunch. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today, you guys. I think tomorrow it's going to be like literally torrential downpours. I think I'm going to stay and try to put together the base of the chickshaw in the garage if I can make enough room in there, because we've already made the cuts for that. And I'm looking, I think I also need to make sure these row covers are really, really anchored down. If I'm able to do that and I'm able to film, I will, and we'll have a video tomorrow. Otherwise, hopefully I'll see you on Wednesday when it should be a little drier and we can start working on getting that upper field ready for planting. Thanks again so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you have a wonderful time in your garden, and I'll see you in the next one.